Thank you. Well, I think that was a quite extensive reply to your question, and we move now to the gentleman over there.
Thank you. I'm Alain Mondot. I'm from Autisme France. Mm-hmm. So we, independently of public organizations which take into account the training in various jobs for disabled persons. In the case of autism, we are developing what we call the job coaching and try to get from the government some funding, because this job coaching is very important to integrate persons with Asperger in a regular job in a regular firm. Okay. Anyway, we discussed also with Mr. Atwood, Tony Atwood, mm-hmm. who told us that it was very important that all the people working with Asperger in a company be aware of the difficulties of the person and create a kind of project around this person to help him. We have also this kind of, we may have this kind of project, for example, at school. Every time that all the class is around the autist person, every time there is a project, all the children in the class are involved in this action, and it gives very good results every time. So it was just a reflection. It's also a question. Do you think that we should let everybody aware of our difficulties, and then ask help for that? And that's yes. The main question I have, either in school or at work.
Yes.
Okay.
The question is very clear, and I would like to summarize it as follows: that if persons with AS go to a working environment, is it important that the members of that working environment know explicitly some of the characteristics of AS, that they are informed and prepared and coached? Now, I would like to ask that question because I think it is relevant for all of us here. I would like to ask that question to each one of you. It's a very precise question, and I would like to have a rather simple reply from each one of you. How are you dealing with this particular question? And, well, I would like to start at my left-hand side. Is that okay with you,
okay. Yeah. That's not an easy question to answer, because if you have too much, I would say too much emphasis on the person, it would cause a lot of stress. It becomes unnatural. And that, I think, is something that you pick up so it can actually work against what you're trying to achieve. So it's a very difficult balance, yeah. But I think you should have somebody at the school, well, I'm not going to talk too much about the school, but at a workplace, who has competence good competence about Asperger's syndrome or the whole autism spectrum syndrome, who, again, can be sort of a mediator. And you have to monitor, I think. You have to be aware what is happening. How are things working out? Where is it sort of red lights starting to blink, or you start to see or encounter problems, so that then you can have a sort of expertise to come in and, again, be a mediator trying to fix things. But I think you can't just change very quickly. This takes time, this integration. And so there has to be some patience. And again, there's a learning process on both sides.
Okay, so not necessarily everybody, but there needs to be some kind of mediator or somebody who can also, well, deal with problems when they arise. Now, you're in a somewhat different position, but what would your response be?
I think it's difficult, that's right.
That's for sure.
The adolescents, when they leave the vocational training center, they get some support by the integration services. And the integration services help them to get a job, and therefore they contact the firms and and talk about the special abilities of the young men or of the young women. But one thing is that the employee by himself have to decide how much should people know about me and my condition. That's a very, very important thing.
So you ask the employee, I think that is an important principle. The integration service, doesn't it disappear at a certain point in time? So what do you do then? My question was, I understood this principle that you asked the person, her or himself, but the integration service, let's say once a person has been successfully placed in a company, I can imagine that there is an initial period that the integration service still accompanies the person, but that stops at a certain moment. That's limited in time. So what do you do thereafter? Is there, like in the Norwegian case, is there a mediator or a confidence person in the company present if problems occur?
Yes, that's right. He must be accompanied in the first weeks by the integration services, and they look to for the contact to only a few persons who are cooperate with him. Yes. And I think he need a special, perhaps most of them need a special work design, and then it will work.
Okay.
Okay. And we in SATSA, we try to, what do you say? Tell the person to, so we can give information for the company about their difficulties and need of support. But we cannot force them. But we think it's difficult for us to contact the company if we can't tell who we are and which role we have. So we think it's an important thing.
Anna, sorry, do I understand that on the one hand you say it's important, but it's also difficult, actually? So everybody agrees it's rather difficult.
It's a sensitive question,
yes.
Because a lot of these young persons, they have bad experiences about telling people about their disability. But now we think that we are there to support them, so that's why we try to tell them that.
Yes. Sarah, in your presentation, 75% of the respondents said that they would not reveal their condition in a job interview. Only 25% admitted it. Now, what happens once the person is in the company?
Well, we see that more people say it, but we had also a statement that I didn't show in my presentation, which was every person with ASD should have the right of a lifelong job coach. Yes. Because the Mr. was asking about job coaching, and almost all of our respondents said they really would like a lifelong job coach. I think one of the things is that job coaching is very limited in time now in most countries or settings. And the reason they want that job coach is not so much because what we really would give as a task to a job coach to explain work situations, to guide the person with ASD, but they said they thought it was very important that the job coach was accessible for the boss and the colleagues to know about the autism. Not so much for them. They really wanted, the others had a problem, in fact, or not a problem, but were the ones who needed more information, coaching.
Yes. Okay. Luca, of course, in your cooperative, the situation is slightly different. Everybody knows about the conditions. But the aspect of coaching and job coaching, how do you think about that?
Yes, it's difficult to have an opinion about job coaching. It's what we see is that situations are really different from one to another. Usually, it's difficult to have someone who is not Asperger himself or herself, because sensibility what to see that job coaching is useful, yes, but just for some workers, maybe the younger ones, but I can't say it all.
Mm-hmm. So experience is also an important criterion when it comes to the coaching. And of course, I could imagine that in different phases of a career, the need for coaching can be different. So although what I understand from your survey, Sarah, is that people have a long-term need for coaching. So it's not something that is for a limited time only.